but I'd like them to both still be in at the end of this hand somehow.
And we'll see who's going to do the walk away, who's going to do the stand up.
I can tell you Jared's won the hand without seeing any cards or anything. He's still seated, and there you go. He's got some chips back. Um, I believe what had happened earlier was Jared had.
Just 1 second, I just got a quick update just coming,
Sure.
David, if I may. Tonight we're going to have a six-max tournament, which will be Texas Hold'em format only. It's a 4,000 entry, 4,000 re-entry, and 2,500 on the add-on. So that'll be going on the social media. It's a new event, so just
Okay.
wanted to pop that in quickly before we lose a player. Carry on, sorry, I didn't interrupt you there.
No, all good. I had heard by the grapevine earlier that Jared had opened with sevens,
Uh-huh.
and Alvin had actually moved in on him for 500, and Jared made a really big call.
I think we saw that, but didn't get it verbal. We didn't get the audio. We were watching it.
Were you watching
yeah, we
it?
flipped the camera.
Okay,
yeah.
I was sitting having a coffee there in the front, and I'd heard it via the grapevine. You know, poker players talk about every hand, and Jared flopped the seven, and Alvin found running clubs or something to that
Yeah.
effect. And you play against like guy like Jared, who's just so technically sound.
Yeah.
He's so technically sound. It's really hard to exploit him in any way. You know, you hate to hear those things, but Alvin, you know, I've always actually called Alvin the most underrated player in South Africa. He has got so much game.
Uh-huh.
One thing with Alvin is when he detects weakness, he
Exploits weakness.
he exploits weakness, and he also detects strength, and he's one of the most intuitive players out there
Yeah,
at
very
the top
astute.
level. And I have so much respect for Alvin Pile's game. But Jared, to me, I've always called him, I think, the benchmark of South African poker for what he's done internationally and locally. If you can log on to Hendon Mob and have a look at Jared's results since he started playing poker, it's actually
Frightening.
it's frightening. It's world class. It's world class, and he is, you know, if you ever get a chance to discuss poker with Jared, I think listen to every word he has to say, because it's not often you get to speak to poker players of that level and pick their brains. And just, man, like, yeah, so I'm happy to see him win a hand. I'll never root against Alvin, who I've got a lot of love for. But for me, and I think everyone knows that me and Greg are really close, but I think I'd love to see Jared win this tournament. He's just done so well in Vegas, and he's been a bit hard on himself on how he's done locally over the last 12 to 18 months. And I think because his standards are so high, that's how, you know, that he doesn't accept anything less than excellence. And I'd like to see his chin up a bit, and, you know,
Well, I
maybe-
was blessed to have him in the booth with me for 2 hours in Port Elizabeth.
Mm.
And he was very open and honest and
And you know, I was dying to listen to that, but you need to find that on the archive, because that's something that's missing.
okay. Well,
It
I'll
is
look at the
missing.
tech guys. And
I was really listening to hear what Jared had to say, and you know, I actually known Jared since we were really young, a similar group of friends growing up. And is that Alvin?
I believe so. I think
Oh,
Alvin's doing the
man.
work.
And he was one of my picks actually for the tournament. So Abdul, you know, loves the game. All the best to him, and this will be it. Eh? That'll be the final table.
Yeah, but we will try and find that archive for you, David, because I think it's important. I mean, and some of the stuff that Jared discussed was the actual feeling that he got and the support that came. In fact, he talked about taking WhatsApp off his telephone because he was just overwhelmed with the messages and he just couldn't take it. And he talked about his early days in Vegas when he got in a taxi and you asked them to take you to the hotel, but they took you to the strip club first because that's how it was all geared up, you know.
Right.
And how he had to take himself out of the world basically to keep focused, and that he was blessed that he had Eugene around the corner in Vegas that he could at least talk to, you know. He
Yeah.
had some sort of release, and he mentioned MJ as well.
Yeah.
Lenny's all in with Jax here. Let's just see if we're having 900 final tables or 1000 final tables.
Well, you know, he's got Mr. Sun may have enough chips here to make a call, and I can tell you what he's really Muaz will be letting go, and I can tell you for sure that Mr. Sun could consider this.
I'll tell you now, Mr. Sun's done it twice already with 9-7 off.
Mr. Sun, and I'd seen him play a little bit in PE, and he surprised me with some of the cards he plays. And he's had a really good year, Howie. So Um, he's got real game. Actually, he's got real game.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy to boot, huh?
He's a great guy. Um, you know that they all are.
So it's interesting, in the booth, I had a young chap called Madaser Amir just now sat next to me doing some commentary. And you have no idea who that is, and it's not surprising
No.
because his first game of poker was in Sun City.
Oh wow.
He just jumped in. He's been watching it on TV. I'm having a go at this, and here he is,
Good for him.
still here.
And you know, this is what I think this stream has done. What's happened here? Oh, okay.
He called. Most
Moaz has
calls.
made the call, and Moaz understands ranges, and he would have understood that a lot of king queens and those sort of things are within Lenny's range, and percentage-wise, it would have been. And he's unfortunately
throw
drawn dead, but I do understand why Moaz makes this call. He understands he's live a lot of the time, and on that, I think this is where Moaz really is really good. Is he understands these ranges and calls. And he'll make these calls, and 17 bigs, I still think
He's
he'll
got
believe
potential.
he'll believe he can box back in, and I think he's one that won't be shoving until he gets to about 14, 15 bigs. And I like that because I think it's a sign of belief in your own ability.
So
You know?
I'm going to ask you a question, David, as we lose the background noise. We're going to be about 10 minutes doing a redraw. Are you going to come back and join me for the final
Yeah,
table?
let me do that. I'll do the final table with you
I'd
guys.
love to have you sitting here, and I'm telling you now, there's a lot of people out there listening who want to see, well, want to hear what David Rosenthal's got to say. Because I'll spare you blushes there. There are other poker royalty than Gerard Solomon, and one of them sat next to me. And
Thank
you know,
you,
I'm
brother.
honoured to have you in my presence in terms of poker. And I mean, we're buddies, but I don't blow smoke up your behind. The truth is the truth. Log
Thank
on to
you,
Hendon
Moaz.
and look at this guy's results. Okay.
Look,
So
no,
let-
you're being really nice. Look, I this is a tournament I would have loved to have been on the final table at.
Of course.
I woke up this morning thinking I would be there. Um, it's if you look at the class around the table, like Mo and Solly and Greg Ronaldson, these are guys I just always want to be playing against, and it is the top level in South Africa. And you know, with I've got a rule sort of with Harold where you've announced the most beautiful tournament tonight. I think looking long term at my game and speaking to Edgar and a lot of guys also, and picking Jared's brain about going overseas, these are the guys you need to be playing against consistently to improve. And I'm actually going to enjoy this final table session with you because we get to sit back and watch it and
you
analyze
get
it.
some free information, brother.
Well, let me be very clear on one thing: is I've watched just about every second of footage that you
Yeah,
guys have
of
put
course.
up, and it's been really good for my game personally. Watching myself, watching my competitors, and it will be nice to go through it and watch poker at a really high level.
Shots. And listen, we're going to sign off for about 10 minutes, and then we're
Cool.
going to come back, David and I. We're probably going to get a coffee or natter or whatever,
Right.
but that'll be offline. So just look at my tech guys, and we're just going to go offline for 10. We'll be back with the final table, and we're full of anticipation. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome to the live stream of the Monsterjam Poker Tour main event here at the beautiful Boardwalk Sun. The action doesn't stop here. Our next stop takes place at the beautiful Sibaya Sun Casino in KwaZulu-Natal. That takes place from the 13th to the 23rd of September 2019. For more information, contact the Monsterjam Poker Tour team and make your booking now.
Okay, welcome back. Our final table is set, and this is the first hand. 12,000, 24,000 in the big blind, 24 in the big blind ante, hand number 63. And we'll get some chip stacks and table positions, and we'll discuss that as we go along. Hoping to get David Rosenthal back into the booth with us just as soon as he's available to commentate with me on the final table. And immediately Rogers wakes up with a pair. And he raises to 70,000. And Waz has got King Queen here in the cutoff. And Waz folds, gets out of the way. He was thinking about it. So some new additions to the stream today. Max Sotin Runner. I can never say that surname, Maxi. You know what I mean. Your brother-in-law's right behind you on the list here, Tony Simmons. Edgar's back. Thank you, Edgar. I know you just dropped out of this event. Mark Butter. Nice to see you online, Mark. Lydia's back and Mooncan's back as well. So viewing figures going up. Want to see the culmination of the 60,000. And here we see Lenny Freeman all in with his nines in the big blind. Nine's still good. And Lenny's nines are still good. And Lenny picks up about 500k there. So Lenny gets his all-in through against Rogers fives, and Lenny doubles up, and I think that takes Lenny into the Millionaires Club. Indeed it does. He's now into seven figures. So him, Kenny, Son and Abdulessa. Abdulessa leads the way with 2.6 million. Followed by our friend Mr. Hawaii Son, Kenny Morgan and Lenny Freeman. And
okay, how's it, guys? Sorry to keep you lone soldier.
no problem, buddy. We knew you were coming back. I told everybody on the stream you were. Haggai's now on the stream. Ricardo, Peter Khan as well. So the Googleator online there as well. So we got a who's who of poker online here, by the way, Dave, as well.
Okay, well
look at these people all tuning in.
You can get a lesson in sober commentary.
Check all these people now tuning in.
Warwick, I can't wait for him to get here. And then, yo, okay, so we got a lot of people watching. Tony, Edgar's there also. I think got pretty stiff this morning, and we ran through the hand. Forget it. Sorry, Ed. Our main man, Moon.
Yeah, Moon's been on the stream. He's actually travelling to London. He must be between flights.
Oh, wow. Okay, the mayor of Fordsburg, we call him.
Yeah. So quite a few people on the stream, and you know, that's just one stream. We've got 3 streams running, of course.
I know, and I'm actually quite a fan of Twitch. I like Twitch. You get to watch a lot of the online blogging and that sort of stuff there. And I think Facebook is it's like probably the easier option for a lot of people. So, and we get to see who's actually watching on Facebook, which is cool. But I think let's get into the poker. That's what we're here
Well,
for.
you've missed one hand. Well, you've missed two hands.
Right.
But the one hand that matters is Roger's raised with pocket fives. Lenny came over the top in the big blind with pocket nines.
Okay.
Was had king queen off. He went in the tank for a little while, and Roger snapped him, and Lenny doubled up, and he's now in the Millionaires Club, as you can see.
So looking at this, and Moaz pretty much played table captain from the moment he sat down. I think on 17 bigs you're going to just see him lock up a little bit. He won't rush to get his chips in. So he's I think he's caught the wrong end of it for the most part. I just want to see Jared's stacked up to 870 and with Greg on 797. Is that right?
Yeah,
It looked like he had won a hand prior to the break.
that's correct. Yeah.
So, for me, those are probably with no favoritism or whatsoever. Those are my two picks. Are just based on these guys have both won these super high rollers before, and it's great to draw from that experience. Abdul Pops sitting there with a healthy stack, but one must know. And Abdul, another guy that's won big tournaments before. Kenny, obviously, it's a compulsive winner. I think I don't really want to leave anyone out. I think that's wrong because you've got 10 really good players sitting here. Okay, so this is good. Muaz has called 60 and not bad. I think he'll understand. Him and Kenny also a lot of history, and rather than get it all in, I think Muaz will
Want to see a flop?
Muaz will want to see a flop and back himself to know where he stands on the flop. Len will get out the way. Roger, whoop, kind of loose.
Roger's in the small blind there. And he calls, which is interesting with a7 off. And Rakesh in the big blind. He's been quite astute, Rakesh. He knows when to get out of the way. Let's see.
Rakesh, I mean, look, the raise from Kenny's kind of small here, so Rakesh is going to think he's calling 36, into what's already pretty big. Getting like 7 to 1, 8 to 1.
I'm waiting for the echo of I'm calling for value coming. I don't like that.
And
John,
I mean, I'll
but,
tell you what.
it's a good flop from Was.
It is a good flop for Moaz, and Roger probably won't realize that he is favourite right now.
Yeah.
Because he's got the ace, he's got any club, he's got a
In
lot
fact,
of
he's got the high club on the.
he's got the high club, but he won't know that. And Kenny's going to put them to the sword. And you know what? This bet could get through. I think the only one that can get him off this hand right now is Moaz.
Yeah.
Moaz is going to sit and think about whether he must or mustn't go all in. Yeah, I don't think you'll see Mo just calling. Those 3 towers are pinks. They're 1,000 chips, and it's just not deep enough, I don't think, to continue without shoving. I think it lacks control. And look, Kenny identifying this is a pretty scary board, and you can get a lot of good hands off a 3 club board. And with his stack, I actually quite like Kenny's bet here.
Well, we got the close-up of Was in deep thought here now. Good camera work from our team, by the way.
And I let go. And was thinking discretion is the better part of valor.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is where I'll tell you what. Wow, Kenny gets it through.
What a bet. Well played, Kenny. Well played. And well, we were talking about your selections. Every commentator that's come in, I've asked them to do their top 3. And Gareth Hudson, as you know, spent a bit of time in here yesterday. In fact, we spent a bit of time, and his top 3 were Moaz, Abdul, and Cam. Obviously, Cam has now gone by the wayside. My top 3, I won't tell you who I put first. But Abdul was second.
I'm sure he got knocked out with Queens.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I have Abdul and Moaz as my second and third here. So
look, I mean, it's I think Abdul right now is probably favourite to win the tournament.
He's got a commanding lead in
He's got
chips.
the experience and he's got the chips, so
Yeah.
it would be foolish to not put him in. And I'm giving it. I don't want to give it top three actually, but
I'm not encouraging you to. When we get the
I,
final
I
tables, we'll
won't.
stop all that.
I
So.
think so. I'm not going to be giving it top three, but I really would like to see Abdul. I affectionately call him Pops. We've
Yeah.
gotten along since we've met, and it's Pops is a father figure sort of a guy, and got a lot of love for him. And right now he's sitting on 2.5 million. I'm gonna find it would be very difficult for anyone to grab those chips at least before the bubble burst. So I expect Abdul to see this through. He's got enough final table experience to be there at the end. I'm not going to pick a winner. Got a lot of friends on the table, and a lot of respect for all these guys. Have enjoyed playing with Len Freeman, and I think it's the second time I've ever played with him. And Len made a comment the other night of saying he just wanted to make this final table, and I actually have so much respect for anybody who plays this game for the love of the game. He's a very successful man, very accomplished man in the world of sports betting. Um, he loves tournament poker. He enjoys it, and to see someone enjoy it, it's that's why it's like pure.
He's got his
pure
dad
love.
here with him this week.
Oh, does he?
His dad's on the mobility scooter.
Oh,
You'll see him running.
right.
That's Lenny's
right.
dad.
Okay, is that Lenny's dad? I didn't know. Okay, but I have seen him.
Yeah.
And
Another lovely man. You can see where he gets his manners from.
and someone I've met a few times at poker and managed to have a few discussions with recently is Rakesh, and just a gentleman. He actually brought me a gift. He gave me a nice bottle of Johnny Walker, which I just didn't expect, and just a gent. And Ashton, I wanted to speak about Ashton. Ashton, I'll tell you a funny story about Ashton. So
I've got a few myself, by the way.
as one of my first big poker tournaments, it was in Bloemfontein, I think 2007, and I can't remember the stakes, but it was pretty high stakes. There was quite a few 100,000 up top, second, third, and fourth, and we get to the final four, and I've got one of my original close friends in poker, Dave Spanenberg, was there. It was myself, Ashton, and another guy from PE, Mark, and we were the final four. And I was very fresh on the poker scene, tournament scene at the time, and didn't know what backers were or share swaps or any such things. It was it was really all new to me. And we reached the final four, and with a lot of money up top, and the guys had mentioned splitting the prize pool and these sort of things, and I thought to myself, we're just going to play for it. I'm a youngster. I thought that tournament poker, you sit down, you play for what's on the board, and that's how it is, and you don't have to worry about swapping shares with anybody, or backers. I never knew of such things back then, and I was more inclined to just play for the money rather than split the prize pool. And Dave Spanenberg pulls me aside and he says, this guy Ashton, he is an absolute master. He is an international poker professional. He will run us over and he'll take all the money. I think it's in your best interest to split this prize pool. And you know what? My rubber arm got twisted and we chopped it up 4 ways, if I'm not mistaken. Speaking to Ashton maybe a year or two later, I'm like, it was really cool to play with you. And we're going back about 10 years now. And, Dave had warned me that you are an international poker pro. And he says to me, Bozo, you got bluffed. It was my second ever tournament. So I got bluffed into doing a deal with Ashton, thinking he was a world poker professional at the time, and really it was actually his second ever tournament he had played. But
well, the good news is, it's now true. He is a world tournament professional.
As it happens, it is. And back then it's cool to know, because he's someone I had come up with from the beginning, and my first big cash, I can't remember the amount, but it's not in the records, unfortunately. A lot of those old tournaments aren't on the end of my archive, and I can tell you my first big cash, it was me and Ashton there splitting the money. So very cool to see my old mate there at the end, and he has a lot of game about him. We played a hand last night I wasn't so happy with, and I sat down with him this morning. I said, you know what, Ash, I actually apologize because I actually think you played the hand pretty well, and got a lot of respect for his game. Edgar from PE, we've all known each other a long time. These guys are good, eh? This is a really classy final table.
Well,
Not familiar with, too familiar with Roger's game. I think we only played maybe a couple blind levels together, so. But a pleasant dude and cool to play with, and Rakesh are just
Gentleman.
absolute gentleman. Len I haven't played too much with, but I think the world of him as a person. Guys gave him a bit of stick yesterday on the table, which is not really fair. Poker players can be a bit pushy, but I think you go from Howie to Abdul to Kenny to Jared to Greg to Mo. These are, I don't think I've forgotten anyone's name now. Very, very accomplished. So, worth mentioning everyone. I'm quite interested to see how this all pans out. I think now I'm going to stop rambling and we can talk poker.
I've got my Aston story is that I'd spoken to him, I think it was on the phone, so I can't remember what for, and I come to do the player profile with him for commentary in Wild Coast or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's this Chinese-looking fellow,
Yeah.
And his name is, for those who don't know, is Aston Sun Xiong. But if you spoke to him on the phone, you think he was a Dutchman from Bloemfontein.
Well, he is. He's from Uitenhage. And he sounds like he's from Uitenhage.
And he said to me, I said, with that name and your looks, I was expecting some Mandarin. And he came up with this broad, I'm more Dutch than any of these lot.
Yeah.
I won't use the expletives he used, but it was quite a comical moment, to be fair.
Jared, what's happened here is, okay, he's just going to let go.
Huawei is doing what I call the long-range steal with 9-7.
Seems to be a hand he's quite
Attached to it.
quite attached to. So what's happened?
Indeed.
Kenny's called.
But Kenny with the King 10 suited, nice cards.
The amounts there didn't. Okay, there are greens in there. Now this is the more aggressive player is going to win the spot. And I think there Kenny might just jump on this. If Mr. Sun bets here, he will take this down. But if he checks here, I just do not see any way. I don't think we're going to actually go to showdown.
What sizing do you like here from Mr. Sun?
Mr. Sun, I think I like. I think it's
Too late. It's about
small.
70, I think.
It's a bit small there. Kenny's not going to be able to leave it.
Well, it's going to cost him 71,000 to win 600,
And it's a check raise, and well played, Kenny. Speaking to one of the top professionals last night, playing against Kenny, and he made a comment to say, just almost never sees him make a mistake, and his results have been insane this year. And they have been for a long time, so credit where it's due, hey. That hand was really good. I think he picked up that Mr. Sun was on a move.
Yeah.
And Kenny smiling. Love to see Kenny smile.
Okay, so believe it or not, this is only hand number 69 on the feature table since we started this morning at 12 o'clock.
No, I actually only saw 5 myself.
I know exactly how many hands you saw.
Was it 5 or 6?
Yeah,
I feel
it was
like
5.
5
It
or 5.
was 5.
Oh, that's great.
And we're not going to talk about that anymore. We're over that.
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not over it.
No, you have sat on the couch. We've had the discussion. I've held your hand. I've mopped your brow. I know you're the new person.
Cry.
You're the new David Rosenthal.
Okay.
It's over. We've moved on.
I just don't want to have to sit around for 2 days and not play poker, guys. I'm only playing on Wednesday nights.
You're not sitting around doing nothing.
I mean, if you look
You've got the best seat in the house.
If you look at the guys who aren't playing poker, I look around the room, I see Carl Marber because he does a lot of work right behind the scenes. If I'm going to have to socialize with Carl for 2 days, I might just actually quit.
You need to jump into that Six Max.
I'm teasing. Carl's just joined us here. One of my best mates in poker.
And Carl is Mr. Cardstream, of course.
He is, and I think we touched on it earlier. We're blessed as South African poker players to have this. And you mentioned a guy that had joined. He had played his first tournament at Sun City. You can remind me his name.
Madasir Amir.
Mr. Amir, and I just as a regular poker player in South Africa, I have to thank Cardstream because something that had concerned me for a while, probably a year, my first year back in poker, I took 4 years off the game and Came back in December 2017.
Just hit the pause button for 1 minute, David. Solly's just raised here with pocket sevens.
And not sure what Kenny's got.
Okay, we've had a breakdown in software by the look of it. So we'll just try and commentate on this just with what we can see, David.
All right. Okay, Kenny with 8-6 of clubs. And he likes these sort of...
He knocked me out of with 7-5 of diamonds out of a high roller once. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Ashton.
Ace-6.
And check around. And Ashton might just this, you know... I think if Kenny checks here, which he will do, I don't think he's going to get too funky on this board. Wow.
Jack, Queen.
What do I know?
Ace-2.
Oh no, Kenny has checked. And yeah, I was going to say, look, with the checking around and the 2 on the turns, it's just the right spot for Ashton to be stamping a little bit of authority on the hand. He's found the ace. He's found what he called with, and I think it is time. Jared, I don't think
He gets out of the way.
Too funky against such a solid player. Neither will Kenny and Ashton. Well done. Well played.
It's a small pot in relative terms, 100,000,
You know-
but
you know,
those are the ones that count.
They're not so small in the grand scheme of things, because
Yeah,
the swing
indeed.
the other way is so big.
I cut across you. You were just stroking Mr. Myberg's ego by the sound of it for all the work he did with the card strip.
He needs no one to stroke his ego. It's big enough, please. But it's coming back into the game, and I think there's a bit of a global boom in poker at the moment. But one thing for sure that can be concerning when you're in a small community like ours is the need for new blood. And you mentioned a guy like Mr. Amir, and I went back to the days when we were playing in Swaziland, and there was a channel and these things, and I was in part of that effect, where I'd seen a lot of these guys playing on TV, and you want to be a part of that. And what Cardstream has done for South African poker is it's brought that effect. People are watching it, and their friends are watching their friends play, and people that don't know poker. I've got friends, my best friend was sitting watching me the whole day yesterday. She doesn't know the first thing about poker. She doesn't even know, but now she hadn't known the first thing, and now she's actually she knew. It's like a 10 on the river, 10 on the river. And I think you get a guy like Mr. Amir that will have seen this, and it makes poker attractive. And it's put a product out there that actually that gets attention. We're getting attention as South African poker players. I've walked into poker rooms, and people have said they've known me because they've seen it on the stream, not in any. They've seen the high runners. They watch it, and I go, "My name's Dave. Nice to meet you." And they go, "Yes, we know. We've seen you on the stream." And it's such a cool feeling. And you know what? This effect has happened. You're getting new players coming and playing because of Cardstream.
I'm not laughing at you, by the way. I'm laughing at something that happened to me the other night, which I'll tell you about. Carry on.
Right, and it's just we're blessed as South African poker players to have this product, and thank you guys for doing this for our community. I think that South African poker is growing for the first time in many years, and this is one of the driving forces behind that. And thank you for this, all the graft you guys do behind the scenes, and the exposure we get actually.
Well, on behalf of Carl Marburg, who is very close by me at the moment, but not got a microphone, I thank you, because he's put a significant amount of investment in both in money and in time into this.
He has,
with his partners.
Yeah.
He's given me something to do in life as well now. I've got a new purpose because, I've recently semi-retired.
You're just trying to build a CV. Chatting says Gary's got a cookbook out. He's that guy. Gary was an international rugby ref. What did you ref? The Springboks, British and Irish Lions, and at high level. And you're just like, I think this is a tick. I think this is a notch, right? Now you are a professional commentator, poker commentator.
I'm getting Myberg on my shoulders here. Just stop now before my head can't get out the door. Anyhow, talking about being recognised from the stream.
Yeah.
I was sat at Monte Casino the other night playing in, I think, the regular Wednesday or Sunday tourneys. You and I cross swords there occasionally. And the lady sits down, an attractive lady, I would say, let's say late 40s rather than 50s in case she's listening.
Right.
And she says to me, "Do you know, I spend a lot of nights lying in bed listening to you." So my fame is not my face, my fame is my voice. So obviously I have a good face for radio. That was absolutely beautiful moment. And my wife was there, which was even better.
I feel like that's going straight on your CV.
Thank you for blowing my trumpet. I mean, we've been chatting away in the background here. We have had an eye on the poker, ladies and gentlemen, and we're not ignoring any of the poker.
I'm so ADD. I think you see how I can't sit down at a poker table for more than 3 hands at a time. So if you think I'm going to concentrate on every hand, yeah, you've got you've got another thing coming. But we will get into it. Let's talk about more poker, Mr.
So David Olivier says, where can we find that archive from Gerard in the booth? I think it means on the stream. I think it was day 2 of the high roller in PE.
It was day 3 because he was commentating when Harold was there at the end.
Okay.
And there was just 2 sessions missing from PE. And I know I discussed it with Carl and Jared. Okay, Jared's found Queen yet. We got a 30k big blind now.
He's in the hijack
You're
here.
gonna
It's
get
been folded around
65,
to him.
70 from Jared.
Yeah.
He's deep enough.
He's got Kenny on his left, which isn't always the best thing to have.
65. Okay, and he's finding some very, very weak hands. And I think Jared's gonna want some action, and Muaz might have this.
This is the sort of hand that wants to
he'll
forward, no?
get it out. He'll get out the way. So unfortunately for Jared, he's not going to get any action. Yeah.
Looks like Jared's been in the gym. See the size of this.
Jared gyms a lot.
I didn't realise he was that big.
He's quite a healthy guy, and
He's very tall, but
on Instagram you'll see a lot of videos of him. Abdul's going to get a bit stubborn here, and I think that's really strange. If he feels he's priced in, I think he's wrong.
well, the big blind ante has that effect on us,
Yeah, that's something else we can talk about.
226. I mean,
Jared's going to love this flop.
yeah, for sure.
He's,
I mean, check from Abdul. So this is
I think Jared will
check bet fold.
Yeah, 90% of the time, Jared's going to get no need for Jared to be getting fancy at all here.
175 in the
I think
top.
he did well to get the extra 35k as it happens. 40,000. This is
That's a come to
such
dinner bet.
Such a cool size, and
Yeah.
so he's not going to fall for it. But small bets are good these days.
For sure.
This is where me and Mo had a discussion of betting 50% of the pot with queens earlier. This is not. I think a smaller bet is generally how it should be done. And good stuff from Jared. I think that hand's pretty standard. He's always opening with queens. I think he did well to get an extra 35.
Yeah, for sure, especially of Abdul.
Out of pops. But he does have the stack, and he's just going to maybe also set the tone. And something where I discussed with Moaz earlier is, you don't want to be... A lot of this is image, right? And if you feel like people are just going to run over your big blind, people will be more prone to raising your big blind. And I think setting that tone of stubborn calling is this, people will think twice about raising, and Abdul experienced enough to know that, and can maybe afford the 35 as an advertisement rather than looking to find the 8 or the 4, because I don't think he goes bust if he finds a top pair 8 there for sure.
Keeping your hard drive up to date. We've just gone 15.
I'm defending the man here.
We've just gone up to 15,000 in the small, 30 in the big, and obviously 30 in the big blind ante. David Fully Olivier has just put a message on the stream. You know David? He knows you.
Yes, I'll tell you, I met David at Carnival City.
That's right.
He had won his package on, I think, a lucky draw, and it meant so much to him. And he's also, you speak about Mr. Ameri, he's also one of the guys where this card stream has reached, and I enjoyed playing with him. A lovely guy. He's always supported me on the stream. And I've only gotten to meet him once. David, I hope you come back to play Monsterjam soon.
Well, let me read what he says, because I think that's important. And I like to just repeat stuff that's put out on the stream. First ever Monsterjam event at the beginning of the year was Carnival for me. David was a great help, was so amazing. Well, lovely playing with him and picking his brain. And for me, one of the best in SA for sure. So that's
Oh, thank you, mate.
high praise from David.
Thank you,
And,
mate. And it was.
your check's in the post.
I think I. I love to see a new face in South African poker, and it's someone who's got just a real love for the game.
Absolutely.
This could get interesting here because Mr. Sun's found his favourite hand on 7.
Again.
Before we speak about David again, let's just go through the hand. Now, Greg's going to understand exactly where he stands. And a brick turn will make things interesting because Mr. Sun will feel he's ahead here, and Greg may.
Well, Greg's got the Jack of Diamonds here. That's kind of his get out there.
Greg might feel he's got enough of a hand yet to play back at Mr. Sun. I think with the size that Mr. Sun's put out there, you won't be seeing I'll be surprised to see a call from Greg here. Unless he feels like he can really get a lot more out of the hand on the river.
You see Greg's outs across the top of the screen there.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think it's fair. Greg's not going to be eliminating the ace and the jack of clubs, the ace of spades.
No.
We
This
know
is
they've
just
been
for us to know.
folded.
They've gone. Our software
Yeah,
tells us that.
I think that the sizing from how he's quite good there. Look, that hand could have played differently on the flop, but discretion is a better part of valor. Greg knows what he's doing.
Okay, so just quickly, David, 51 minutes on the level. We just popped up a level. I said we're 15 and 30, 30 on the big blind ante. The average stack has just gone above 7 figures, which is a million.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, there's 10.5 in play, and I had worked out. I thought 3 million was the number you needed to get to win this tournament.
Right.
And,
Okay.
like there's an old saying in poker that there's generally three goals in a tournament, and it's first one is to cash.
Yeah.
Second one is to final table, and it's often in South African poker that overlaps a little bit, and then to get to final 3, and that's where the tournament's won. That is where you can get a huge percentage of the chips in play with a very cheap hand, and I sort of like to map these tournaments out, and I felt 2.5, 3 million, where Abdul is at now, is enough to win this tournament
Sure.
at the end. And look, these guys it's going to be a real scrap these next 4 to 5 blind levels before this bubble bursts, because I think it's going to take that long, maybe longer. And
So, for the people out there listening, they just got a snapshot into David Rosenthal's preparation and planning for tournaments. You've mapped it out, you know how much, or you've guessed or you've estimated how much, based on your experience, you need to win the tournament, where you need to be, and when you need to be there. And, that is a little snapshot, a window into your mind that and perhaps inadvertently you're giving away, I don't know.
No, definitely not inadvertently. I mean, you've still got to get there, and you've still got to play your hands and your opponents appropriately. So it is what it is. But I do think it serves you all to understand what's happened here. Jared has 3-bet shoved Rogers. Okay, so right, I think this is a hand where he felt okay with 30. Selling less than 30 bigs, I think he felt it unnecessary to 3-bet, especially against the guy with Roger's stack and Roger's range. And I think he's just quite happy. You'll find Jared will take this down now. I don't think Rogers can call.
Unusually, Jared is talking at the table.
No, this is. One thing with Jared is like. I find it's futile trying to get a read off him because he is just so experienced, and I don't think he gets overly nervous or overly excited. And I actually like to see him. He's in good spirits. So
He's enjoying himself.
he's enjoying himself, and this is scary for everyone else because he is the most experienced, and he is, in my mind, the best we have in this country. And it's, speaking to Jared, I didn't want to go over the Vegas thing too much because I think he will have been asked it so many times. It was important to say it on the stream and to voice it. And he had so much support from the South Africans, and to the point where he had to turn his phone off for his own benefit. He had the biggest poker tournament in the world to win it. The thing that I had said to him was, what was what validated what we do in South African poker was to see one of our best do well at the highest level.
Indeed.
And it did. And there was a point, and you worry about the gap, the skill gap between us and the rest of the world, and this, and are we at that level? And for me to see one of my biggest competitors do it at that level validated what we do, and it was almost a thank you. It was like a.
Did it inspire you though?
It did. It
Good,
did. They have from the beginning, these guys, and I wanted.
I think
to.
what you're saying by validating, just for people out there, is that, you know, Gerard's doing that. We're fishing in the same pond back here. We're doing the same sort of standard stuff. So therefore, there's hope for us all. Is what you're saying.
It's given us hope, and it's given, seeing you don't want to see the best in South Africa struggle abroad, because that can be concerning, and to see him do it. We've had it before with Warren and Raymond and a few.
But they
others.
trailblazed, didn't they? I mean,
they did. No, but I
third
think
place and 22nd.
and with absolutely no disrespect to Raymond or Warren, more of of the professional and the tournament scene. Ray was like a retirement enjoyment for him. He was not going to be playing poker week in, week out for the next. Warren, who was possibly the most dominant in the history of South African poker at his best, that was inspiring. And Jared, there's been a lot of cashes, good cashes in between. I mean, I remember my good mate is staying now in Dubai, Rob Kay, and this guy, Ryan Brower doing so well in Australia. But this one sticks out a lot because South African poker's on the rise. We've got more tournaments coming, we've got more players coming in, the level's upping, and
it's a lot more difficult every year. It gets more and more difficult to place in the WSOP because of the numbers and the standards.
A highest ranked guy on Hendon Mob do it at that level. It does. It's for a guy like me that has those sort of goals and dreams for my own poker, and I'm definitely not the only one. It validates that what we're doing here locally, that we can compete at that level, and it makes the dream more realistic, and you can actually see it happening. And for me, that was great to see. I did say that to him. I didn't want to push him too much on the issue, because at the end of the day, it's a poker tournament, and I think this is what makes him a winner. Is why I don't want to go into this. I think he would be very disappointed. As good as his result is, he's a winner. He's a winner by nature, and he will have been close to the dream, and he'll want to just make sure he gets there.
You definitely need to get that archive out and listen to that, because he covers all of this stuff, and don't want to spoil it. If it's missing off the stream, I'll make a personal venture into that, and we'll try and find that interview.
I'm not allowed to phone him, but I've given Carl Marburg enough props. I did message him about 2 weeks ago to say that session was missing, and the last hour of day 2 of the main event.
Okay.
And
well, you and I will sit and make a note of that, and I'll see if we can chase it down. We've got it all recorded, so it's not disappeared.
For me, I wanted to see what my mate Ahmed had done there, because he was vault as all hell on that last session. So I wanted to do a bit of homework. He played a great session actually. So
another one of your PE boys just appeared here, Martinez Muller. So welcome, Martinez, on the stream.
I'm sure I played with him at PE as well.
He likes racing cars.
Racing cars.
In fact, that's where he is at the moment.
Sport.
He's got a I don't know what the series is, but
found the right sport.
On his Facebook page, he's driving around with a trolley on the back of his car with a racing car on the back of it, and he was parked outside the boardwalk. So yeah, so good for him. All right, so Hawaii's son has got the 8s here, and he's called off the 69,000 raise from Kenny, and Rakesh is having a think about it. What is he thinking about?
Rakesh
in the big blind again. So it's that big blind anti-syndrome. I've already put 60 in.
Rakesh, yeah, and I think he'll do well to go back and watch a lot of this. Is that sometimes you're not as priced in as you feel you are, because to be honest with you, you've got no outs, and as it happens, the 5's no good, the ace is no good. So unless you find them both, which is now possible. No, I mean he's found the one card that makes him almost a little bit alive at this point. But you know, I mean,
It's him to act. I don't like
as
the
a-
way he's fingering that whole stack.
aggression. Listen, we can see the other cards, but I think in the long run, he'll do well to be getting out of the way with his.
I think
file.
a check is the right check fold. You know, that's. I don't know what's going on there.
So that's a very funny way to check. Kenny will like the texture of this board. He will. I think he'll be working out now how many kings call his raise pre-flop, and if he thinks there's very few kings combinations that call him, he'll be putting in a C bet. But the problem is, both these players do have kings in their range.
Here we go.
Oh wow!
That is a misstep of note, but who'll see? Let's see.
Okay,
Maybe he's
so
a genius.
I thought that Rakesh had called, but look, he'll be folding and Mr. Sun will be folding. He's not going to be calling him a second pair. So Rakesh will get this through.
Yeah.
I'll be very impressed if Mr. Sun sees weakness in this and makes a call. He could put him on a flush draw. And that would be excellent. But it's just too big, and I just don't see Mr. Sun seeing this as the right risk-reward spot.
Not at all. Not based on his history.
And I'll tell you what, it's a bold move from Rakesh. Like I say, gentleman, Johnny Walker, thank you for all of that. But I think he'll do well in the long run to stay away from these spots.
Yeah, I mean, he had Kenny and Huawei there to come after him. And both have been just called a reasonably sized raise, you know. So Abdul continues to lead the chip count. Kenny is in second. And Huawei has dropped out of the Millionaires Club. So he's down in the 900,000s now. But as you predicted, Moaz has been very, very quiet. He's looking for a spot.
Moaz will have identified he would have needed to lock up now. He attempted to table captain on another day. It goes his way. It did not go his way today.
Sure.
He went from 1.2 down to where he's at now. So on this, and he won't just be looking to spin it up. One thing is there's so much time in a tournament. And big blind antes have changed dynamics, you know, in that you get almost 8 free hands in a row. So he'll know that, and he'll back himself to get back in. But he's played himself into a situation where he does not have so much playability left.
I fancy a move here from Aston. He's been very, very quiet. Raises up, standard raise around 60.
Raise up to 70,000.
Ashton looking quite comfortable and also underrated. He just time and time again finds these final tables and cashes, and he's just so comfortable at any stake. Like loves the game and loves the challenge of it. Len out the way there. Roger's out the way. Rakesh will definitely be out of the way. Yeah, the Queen 4 offsuit. Then we'll see what Greg's got. Jack 10 of clubs.
My favourite hand.
And he
In the big
might
blind.
think that at this price, he's going to give this some thought on whether this is worth playing. And he'll know that Ashton's not too wide from that spot, so I don't think he's going to get too funky. But
A smooth call.
I think they're 40. Jack 10 of clubs is a hand that plays quite well post flop.
Yeah.
And
Like that, you mean?
just like that. And
So
he has become
top pair with the up down.
He's become a massive favourite here, and because of this board, he might just, and Ashton's done well to check behind, because he was going to get himself into a lot of trouble if he had bet, because Greg would have, I feel, played back at him. Although Greg can just check call there as well.
There's some queen chop outs here, but it's 10 still ahead.
Queen's not a chop. Queen gives Ashton the nuts, and this is chops the pot, and this. I wonder if Greg won't be overcredit when he sees this putting in a bit more action earlier on in the hand.
100,000 is a bet.
And Ashton acting like pained, but I think what he's doing is deciding whether to raise or call. I expect a raise from Ashton. It's just 100k. I won't be be surprised to see a sort of like 285 sort of a size from Ashton. And Greg won't be able to 250. And Greg will call this off. I don't think you'll be
I think so.
seeing, yeah, you won't be seeing a race from Greg. He'll understand it's not necessary. Boom, chop the pot up, and Greg will be maybe seeing the cards, wondering whether he should have not gotten a little bit more action pre. But Greg, he's like, he's got that very astute, technically sound style.
It's actually been a pleasure watching him. He's been on the feature table for most of the day, actually.
He's a gentleman. He's just a proper professional. He understands ranges and every. You know, I can speak to. He's one of the guys. I've actually been really lucky in my poker career in that I've had a WhatsApp group that's been running for years of Greg Ronaldson, Greg Tucker, and Daniel Lamberti, and I think
Where are Tucker and Lamberti, by the way? Missing in action this week.
No, Lambo's coming tomorrow or the next day. I'm definitely going to try steal him for dinner before the high roller, just because he's my best mate, and we're all very close friends. And when you get Lambo, Ronaldson, and Tucker on a WhatsApp group, and you need to discuss a hand, I mean, you're going to get a proper rundown. Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about the three serious poker players. So I've been gifted in having that, and I think it's also, you know, good for anyone that's growing in the game or trying to get better in the game to have your mates, to have good mates, and to talk poker is so important for getting better. And I've just been able to pick the best brains out there. I think their names kind of speak for themselves. Everyone knows what the.
So for those of you on the stream who want to join that WhatsApp group, I'll put the number out later.
Yeah.
That's dead secret. Big secret number. That
no,
one.
No. We got 2 Liverpool fans and 2 United fans, so it's 90%. Greg and Greg making.
Lambo's a Man United fan.
Sulk. Yeah, we're United fans, and it is a lot of that. But you know, when a hand comes up, and Greg won a super high roller last year. Daniel's done so well, and Greg always is.
He placed third in the main event in PE, I think.
Tucker's always done well, and I've had my moments last year of success. And when we discuss a hand, it can go on for 2 days. So it's it really is, and I would advise, like you say, like with guys like David and all of that, to get into these sort of forums where you can discuss and see how other people view the game. And I do think you always need your own identity in poker, and what's right for me isn't necessarily what's right for Greg, because we have our own images to play, and just understanding you get more depth to your game, and it's helped me tremendously over the years. So, which is why anytime you get the chance to discuss things with Jared, it's not the kind of guy that give you the exact technical rundown of everything. Moaz much more so, and me. Luckily, I've also had Ahmed's brain to pick a lot recently. He's become one of my closest buddies, and it helps. It helps, and I would recommend it to anyone to pick their friends' brains, and the more experienced players' brains whenever they get
there you
the chance.
go. Some very sound advice from young David Rosenthal. I can call him young because I have a child older than him.
I've got a brother older than you.
That's it. So he has a brother older than me, and I have a child older than him. Now work out that conundrum, if you will.
My father did well.
Indeed. And sound advice. Discussing hands with fellow poker players or whatever. It does do you good. Get it off your chest and do the self-analysis. Look in the window. In the mirror. Do the navel gazing, and very, very important part of poker. Now, this is definitely a who's who. I mean, we've got some. I mean, Rakesh is an inexperienced player at this level. I mean, that's no disrespect. I mean, we just.
I think he'd be the first to admit it, and I think Len is in a similar boat.
Indeed. Len's been playing the game a long time, but only seriously.
They wear it on their sleeve, and
yeah.
And you've got to respect and appreciate that. This from Muaz is a little bit light with his stack, but he also needs to get back into this tournament, and he will identify that in 2 hands' time he's got unfortunately he's going to find a stubborn Mr. Sanya who has just called that Muaz might just need have thought he needs to get going in this moment, and I'm a little bit skeptical over whether he's picked the right spot and time to be opening with that. But Muaz will have rather rose with ace-3 than ace-6 any day of the week, and understanding the combinations, just, I mean, plays a little bit better. And Kenny here, I mean,
you know, ready. Kenny can come out firing here or just flat. I mean,
Kenny's not going to be letting go.
no, for sure. I mean, the fold isn't an option.
I think Mr. Sun has probably saved, although Muaz would have just put it in if Kenny had after what he's invested.
What price an ace king 7 flop? That would have been freaky.
Well, I'll tell you
The only
what,
diamond on the table is Mr. Sun, of course.
Mr. Somebody, you know, Mr. Sun, we've seen it before with eights, and he's not going to look to be getting too tricky here.
I mean, Kenny's flopped the top pair with a good kicker, and Kenny's checked, so he's leaving the door open for Moaz.
And Muaz will see the texture of this board as possibly a good one to be getting the money. I like the bet, not the shove. Bet 82,000. So size is very familiar to me. Mr. Sun, I think, with the knight at the king there, and he's a very low diamond in his hand, I think he will be thinking his discretion is the better part of valor. Mo has represented his hand really strong.
And also, he's shed a few chips in the last sort of half an hour. He was up there at 1.4 million. He's now down in 900.
He doesn't quite understand how far it is. And Kenny, I'll be very surprised for Kenny to let go here. Kenny's going to fold here, and Moses really represented his hand really well.
I don't understand Kenny's folder, I've got to be honest, but maybe Kenny put him on an overpair or something. Who knows? The mysteries of the game. Abdul remains at the top, 2.4. Was is at the bottom with 15 bigs. Now, I mean, I call the danger zone 10 bigs, but he's approaching. He's in the red still. You know.
Look, I think with the big blind hands here, look, I'll be honest with you. I like to see Moaz raising, and I like to see poker players playing, not just shoving. And had an interesting spot against him in PE that made me think a lot about, you know, when are you shoving, when are you raising, and I like that. He's giving himself more opportunities to get back into the tournament.
Sure.
So well played, Mo. Got Kenny off top pair with a queen kicker.
It's not easy.
So Gaz, I'm gonna love and leave you. I've got an engagement to get to.
No problem.
Looking at the time, so I need to shoot. It's been a pleasure sitting with you. It's I think 4 p.m. on the dot now, hey?
5 p.m.
It's 5 p.m. Sorry. So I'm running a little late. I'm gonna run. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope I actually do get a chance maybe after dinner to join you and see the end of this.
Yeah, I think Gareth is coming back in for an hour or so at some stage, but you'd be most welcome to come back. Maybe I'll leave you and Gareth together for 5 minutes and go and have a coffee.
I don't know how you do it for the entire day.
Well, let me tell you, we in Port Elizabeth, which was our last stop, we streamed 72 hours, and 69 of those were with commentary, and I was sat on this fat butt of mine in front of this screen.
For all 69 hours?
All 69 hours.
That's why you're the boss. That's why While you get the
It is
big
time
rush.
for you to leave. You know that,
All
don't
right,
you? You
okay,
can go
I'm out
now.
of here. Guys, thanks for your time, buddy.
Cheers,
This
China.
was really cool. And I'll be watching from the rail, and I'll be watching the stream. Actually, you'll see my name pop up in the stream.
Sure.
Probably after dinner, after my early dinner.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys, thanks for having me, buddy.
We wish you well, and hopefully see you later. And if not, we'll see you in the high roller. Shot, China. Okay, that's Mr. David Rosenthal, brackets Bozo to his friends. And what a great insight into the behind-the-scenes preparation of his poker game. As you heard, he was unfortunate enough to run his queens into a flush by Moise. But, you know, takes it on the chin and moves on, and already prepping for the 40K. So, you know, just fantastic, consummate professional. And we were privileged to have an insight here in the booth with him. Always a pleasure to catch up with David. So, anyhow, this is the 60K Super Slam from Sibaya, and you're with the Monsterjam Poker Tour. We still have 10 players on the final table. Lenny Freeman, Rogers Pillay, Rakesh Singh, Greg Ronaldson, Gerald Solomon, Kenny Morgan, Aston Soon Xiong, Muaz Ghani, Abdulessa, and Hawaii Sun. All regular names to us, and just a joy to have them.
Raise up to 65,000.
Okay, Abdul picks up the pocket sevens under the gun, raises it up to 65,000. Hawaii gets out of the way with his junk, and Lenny doesn't want to play with 9-7. Rogers is going to fold. Rakesh with 10-5 will probably fold also. Yep, these cards go in the muck. Greg gets rid of his hands, and it's around to Gerard. And Kenny also gets out of the way. So, small blind out of the way. Moaz Ghani with 6-4. So actually nobody had a hand even worthy of calling him, so easily gets his pair of sevens through. I don't know if they've announced if this is a dinner break coming up or if it's a 1 hour or 15 minutes. I have no idea. So as soon as we know, we'll let you know, so you can plan the rest of your day in terms of what stream you're going to watch. Mr. Sun has King Jack under the gun, and he's going to put a little raise in here. 66,000, I think I heard the dealer say. So just a reminder that there's a 6 max entry 4,000 with an add-on at the end of level 6 for 2,500 today. That's at 7 p.m. That wasn't advertised previously, so that's a new event. So hopefully you can come along and do that. We've had several satellites today which are now either just finishing or have finished already. And tomorrow there'll be the 2 p.m. Monster Millions accumulator satellites. There's 2 seats guaranteed, your chance to be an instant millionaire. Entry 300, rebuy 300, double rebuy 500, add-on 300. So that's a nice cheapie for you all there. And as I said, 4,000 entry, 4,000 re-entry, 2,500 add-on for tonight's 6 max at 7 p.m. So Hawaii Sun has got 96% of it here, checked it back with the jacks. Abdul's not going to get too involved, I wouldn't have thought. Mind you, he obviously likes his queen, that's 50k. Huawei will think about it for a while and then just flat here, I'm sure. 40 to call. Oh, he's re-raised it, sure. Abdul's a non-believer. So the flush gets there. Check, check. And Mr. Sun turns over the bad news and he'll scoop the pot with a profit of 231,000. Welcome back on the stream, Vicky Suku. Nice to see you on the stream, Vicky. Mr. Elan is on the stream also. Mr. Elan, the father of poker in South Africa. He was the guy who brought the game here, so we're all indebted to you, sir, for sure. Petra is also on the line. Nice to see you there, Mado. I know you're coming down soon to be with your man. And Ayub is back. Who let you back on the stream? Nice to see you there, buddy. So I think we looked at the timing clock just a little while ago, but probably about 20-25 minutes away from the next break. Once we get some information, we'll let you know on the dinner break. Lenny under the gun folds, King 5. And there we go, Rogers has got aces. What size is the raise going to be? It looks pretty hefty. Only looking for one customer, I'm sure. Cash is 8-4, it's going to go in the muck. Queen 10, lovely cards, but pretty sure Greg's not going to play them from here. Mr. Solomon, King 2. Pocket 7s from Kenny, you might look him up. Yeah, it looks like a flat call. So 19 minutes before the break, and the flop came 5-5-4, 2 diamonds. Rogers goes all in, and a call, and that is that, as they say. Ace on the turn gives Rogers a full double up, and I think Rogers had $1 million already. This could leave Kenny severely crippled. We'll wait for the count from the dealer. The $1 million that Kenny's got is the $1 million that he has left, rather than the $1 million that I understand. So he's not that crippled, but he doubled up Rogers here. And Rogers had about 500,000, so yeah, that's where it is. Okay, so nice double up for Rogers there. Been very quiet today. Blinds at 15, 30 and 30 on the big blind ante. This is hand number 83 of the day on the feature table. Rogers wakes up here with 7-5 under the gun. They're going in the muck. Under the gun +1 is our friend Rakesh. 9-2, another hand destined for the bin. Greg is looking down at Ace-9. He doesn't want to be at 2 inches to those. Solly gets rid of his 10-3. And Kenny with Queen-3. He's looking to make a move here, so he's going to raise it up. And Kenny raises up 71,000 with his 3 and Queen suited. And the gun +4. Hijack folds. Mars has jacks here, probably going to shunt here. I doubt Kenny can call this off, to be honest. Mr. Sunderplay, King Queen, gets out of the way. Lenny Freeman's 5-3 in the muck. So it folds around to the original raiser. And Kenny has to decide whether or not he wants to. He doesn't want to play. And Mars open folds his jacks. Was still the short stack, 18 bigs. Greg, Rakesh, Len, all at the bottom down there. And the Millionaires Club is Jared Sullivan, Roger Pillay, Huawei-san, Aston, Sun Xiong, and Abdul Essa. Okay, new hand. Rakesh Singh under the gun. Ace-3 of diamonds. Nice cards, but not from under the gun. King 10, I like King 10, and Kenny comes up betting with King 10. So far, no customers. I don't think Rogers is, well, he's in the big blind, so he might decide to defend here, but indeed he does. So we've got 2 players to the flop. And Kenny gets best of it, pairs his 10, Queen kicker. This is day 3 of the Superslam, 16th of September here, 2019 at the Sun Sibaya Casino and Entertainment World. Mentioned to our partners, the Hendon Mob and the Global Poker Index. David was referring to those earlier in the booth. It's where the poker players' stats from around the world are kept. Quite easy to use and to interrogate. Our sponsors Aquavita Water and of course Regal Hospitality Events, the owners of Monsterjam Poker. Thank you all for your continued support and sponsorship. So Roland Smith's on the stream. He says Bozo is the most humble professional player I've ever met. I miss our crazy raw Swazi weekends filled with Jaeger bombs and with shots of tequila. Sounds like we need to get back there, Roland. And I'm sure Bozo will read that message on the stream. He's an avid watcher of the stream. Jack 9 for Aston. They were in the back, 6-4 from Waz.
Raise up to 67 now.
And Waz raises up from a late position here. People know he's got a short stack, so they're going to be giving him some credit for a fairly tight range now. Mr. Sun with Queen 9. He gets out of the way. And Lenny might get a bit sticky here with the King Queen. Cash in a big blind to act. He's got to pay another 37,000 to see a flop with ace-6. Miles certainly won't want to see him call. Be more than happy just playing this heads up against Lenny. Here we go, heads up. Flop comes 2 hearts, just what Waz wanted to see. We also have the gut shot straight draw. Up and down straight draw from Waz. He's going to bet this. Lenny is ahead. He's got a club flush draw, so I don't blame him if he's going to call this off. Jack comes on the river. Lenny's still good. Mars is going to have to fire here to win this pot. And Waz gets away from it. Well, and Lenny gained at 250 grand, there or thereabouts. So I'm getting some information that the dinner break is 10 to 7. Dinner break.
An hour, then we'll have an hour dinner break. So dinner break will be about 10 to 7, 7 o'clock.
Stargazer, what's wrong? They call you the stargazer. You must know what they call him.
Basket. Right. You know what I'm saying? Flash cards?
You're winning, it's obvious. Only an ace can beat you.
So just under 10 minutes to run on the level. And I think what's going to happen is they're having a 15-minute break and then they're going to come back and play another level and then they're going to have a dinner break. I'm not entirely sure. Jared under the gun with ace queen. I don't think Jared's going to be too quiet with these cards.
Raise up to 70,000.
And as I said many times before, a race from early position is always a strong race. And, you know, with a player of Gerard's image, of course, it's going to command that much more respect. Rogers folds. I'm sure Greg's going to get out of the way here. And Gerard will pick up a 75,000 game. So Was continues to be our short stack on 370 and some change. That's there or thereabouts for 10 big blinds. Welcome to the stream, Divan. Nice to see you online, buddy. Hopefully you're doing well in the other events.
Raise up to 67,000.
So Was put in the raise initially 67,000. Looks like Mr. Sun is re-raised. 3-bet to 167. Then you get out of the way. Rogers also. Rakesh is not going to play his 10-8. Greg also gets out of the way, as does Gerard. Back to Moise. Further 100,000 to call. And he's also going to get out of the way. Still 10 players on the final table. We've had no bust outs. Another message from David Olivier. He said, Gary Allen, you're not far behind. We met at Poker Championships in Four Ways a couple of months ago and sat next to you in the beginning. Loved it. We'll be at Times Square hopefully. I hope to meet up with you again, David. Enjoyed your company, and happy to have you on the stream, and appreciate your comments. Thank you, sir. Aston with the Queen 9 under the gun. Hasn't got rid of it yet, but will do. Was with Jack 10. Might fancy something here, but he's very early in the order. Abdul gets out of the way, as will Mr. Sun, I think. Greg on the button here, ace 5, 30,000 a call.
Yeah, raise up to 75,000.
And he raises it up. And Greg understands where he is positional wise, and he's got two players, I mean two very tough players that come after him. So this is an attempt at stealing the blinds, but with some equity at showdown. So Kenny calls his raise. And Kenny gets the best of it with the 4. I'm expecting a continuation break. No, Greg decides to check. It's check, check. Option on Kenny. Oh, Greg's on the button, so obviously Kenny first to act. Check, check again. And ace 5, no good. Kenny picks up the pot and 195 with a gain of 90,000. So Miles getting really short now, 10 big blinds. And he'll know he needs to make a move. Miles is under the gun. We haven't got his cards yet, but we will shortly. Ace 6, not a strong enough hand to be shoving from there. Well, Lenny's working up with the goods here.
Raise up to 80,000.
Gonna see some action here. King's raised to 80, call from Rogers. Rakesh with the suited Jack Queen. You might want to get sticky and get involved here in the hijack. Well, he shakes his head and says no. Oh my word, Greg's got ace queen. A raise and a call. He might be fancying a squeeze play here. He's going to pick the wrong moment if he does. Because he's getting called all day by Lenny. Oh, he gets rid of it. What a seriously good laydown. Well played, Greg. And when you watch back the stream, you're going to know. Looks like all the players are getting up. I think they must be going on break. We'll get a shot of the timing screen. Let's just watch this hand to conclusion. And here comes the flop. No help for either player, so the kings are ahead. Backdoor clubs are on their way, but no help for Rogers. Lenny makes an all-in bet there. Wants to protect his hand, having seen the two clubs. Don't think he needed to do that with one of the big clubs in his hand, but that's his choice. It looks very bluffy, and Rogers might pick up on that as a bluff and call, but it's a tough spot to call most of your chips off for sure. That's an all-in, and he called. Wow, this is a massive hand. Sure. Wow, wow. Lenny Freeman, 211 million. Rogers Pillay eliminated. What a way to go to the break. I'll leave you thinking about that one when you put the kettle on. We'll be back in 13 minutes and 33 seconds. Thank you.
Welcome to the live stream of the Monsterjam Poker Tour main event here at the beautiful Boardwalk Sun. The action doesn't stop here. Our next stop takes place at the beautiful Sibaya Sun Casino in KwaZulu-Natal. That takes place from the 13th to the 23rd of September 2019. For more information, contact the Monsterjam Poker Tour team and make your booking now.
And welcome back after the 10-minute break. I believe we've got another break scheduled after the end of this level for dinner. Just give the players a quick comfort break. Just before we went on break, of course, they had that huge hand. Lenny had kings and Rogers had nines. Board texture was very, very low, so anyhow, Lenny shoved and Rogers didn't believe him and he called. Kings held up and Lenny has doubled up to, well, not quite doubled up, but took out Rogers and he's now sitting at 2.1 million. So up amongst the higher echelons of the chip leaders. So Len has raised 100k here. Jared's got ace jack with 100k to call. So interesting. Obviously, Jared's going through a few things in his head here. He's in the cutoff, so he's got a couple of players to go. Looks like he might be coming in for a raise here. So it's a raise. 3-bet to 350. Aston gets out of the way. Moaz gets out of the way. I think Abdul does the same. And it's back to Lenny, 250 more to call. Lenny's counting his chips, but he's just thinking, And that's a call. So this pot has grown exponentially to 800,000. Lenny doesn't want to see any high cards on the flop, and that's a perfect flop for his pocket tens. He checks the trap here. He's looking for a continuation bet from Jared. Nice bet here from Jared, sized down nicely. So basically, does Lenny believe that Jared's got an overpair, and is his overpair stronger than his? If he believes he's got an overpair, well then he can fold, because obviously tens are just over the nines there, but if he doesn't believe in, then he must call, or he can raise. I think this is one of those hands we want to go back and revisit. And miraculously, Lenny folds there. Great play by Jared. And brave stuff as well by Lenny. Let's not forget that he had part in the hand as well. Lenny Freeman still second in chips with 1.7. And Jared's moved up to third place with 1.5. And if there's anybody you don't want to give chips to, Mr. Solomon is certainly going to be top of that list. So our dealer on the table now is Mjpt. Welcome back. This is hand number 91. The big blinds are now 40, with the 40 big blind ante and 20 in the small blind. So the price of poker is definitely going up. Okay, Was is all in with his Jack Queen. I actually think no, he didn't. He didn't open fold that. Okay, with the increase in blinds, Waz's blind count is now down to 7 bigs. Then he's got King 10 suited in the under the gun spot. Nice cards, but difficult to play from there. So I haven't worked out if it's hot or if it's cold. Jared's got his t-shirt on and Rakesh has put his jacket back on. So maybe it's just cold on one side of the table.
He has information that none of us have.
Aston with the Jack 8 here in the cutoff. Well, he wants to play these cards. Let's see what Moz has got. Has he got shoving cards? Moz says can I have a second card. With a 7-4, could be looking to pull a move and steal the blinds off Mr. Sun. So he's raised up to about 80 or 90 there. 100k in fact. Interestingly, Mr. Sun has got the same hand. And he will fold, and Abdul will pick up the spare money, gain of 80k, which is the 40 in the big blind and the 40 in the big blind ante. The rich get richer. Okay, so we've lost Rogers from the table, and what a great game he played. I mean, as David says, we don't really know Rogers' game very well, but played really well, and we're sorry to see him go. I saw him in the break there, and he says, you know, the board was perfect. Me, I had an overpair of the board. It's such a big bet by Lenny. He says, you know, $1 million. I mean, you know, it's so bluffy. So at the end of the day, I decided to call it off, and of course he had the kings and he caught me. But you know, nobody's blaming you, buddy. You played a nice tournament, and you made the final table, so you should be proud of yourself. Well played. So Kenny's got the 10s here, and he's raised it up to 105,000. Looking for a customer, or maybe not. And he gets his 10s through. And the coffee has arrived. Thank you. And number 94, big blind 20, 40, big blind ante 40, small blind 20. Jaden Cohen on the stream says, "Let's go now, champ solo. You good thing." Maybe somebody could interpret what that means later for me. I must be missing something. Kenny wakes up here to ace queen, and he raises to 105. Aston to his left has ace king, just flats. I have no idea why Rakesh is thinking about this. He's in the big blind. Yeah, Raggedy King offsuit. I don't think it would be advisable to try and pull a move, Rakesh. I think he announced a raise there. This could be a major misstep by Rakesh here. Well, it is a major misstep. I don't think there's any way this gets through against ace queen and ace king. I'm actually more interested in if Kenny calls whether or not Aston calls. You know, chance to knock out a player and get nearer on the money, I suppose. Let's see. There's an interesting dynamic here. Kenny's not afraid to call and take people on here, but he'd be worried about Aston to his left. That's a call. Aston's got a really big decision to make here. Now, Aston obviously wants to know what Kenny's got behind as well, what his liability is. I actually think Aston folds here.
Stop, guys.
JD's got a what do you call it?
A little bit of a squeezy there.
He's asking if Rakesh was squeezing there. No, it's exactly what he was doing with garbage. I mean, there's 1.5 million in this pot already, and Aston hasn't even decided to act yet. He doesn't put him on aces or kings. So he figures that he's got 2 overs. I still think Aston can fold here on the basis that Kenny's in the pot. I mean, we can see that he's percentage-wise he's ahead and he's got the best hand. And if he knew that, he'd be shoving in a second. But you can see the pain on his face here. Aston's apologised for taking so long. There's no need to apologise to Aston. This is a big decision, pivotal movement in the pivotal moment in the tournament. I believe he really has a decision to make here. I mean, Rakesh must always be worried because you know, he's been called off by Kenny, who's been up and down on the chip lead. And Aston's not happy with what he's done. He's laid down. Let's see. Maybe the flop comes 2-2-2, and Rakesh is a genius. Oh my word! The spades get there. And to be fair to Kenny, he had the better hand, you know. I mean, Rakesh tried to pull a move there. Hey, good luck, buddy. I mean, you flop massive there, and I think your money goes in anyhow. But well done, Kenny. And I think Aston will be feeling a little bit better about his fold as that flush. I can't remember what Aston's cards were, but I don't know if he flushed out higher. And yeah, suffice to say, fortune favours the brave, so well done, Kenny. Kenny's now our, well, close to our chip leader, 2.1. Abdul still holds first position. And we lose Rakesh from our ranks. So we're down to 8.
Ace of spades, king of clubs.
As we poker the players do, the player leaves the table, we dissect their hand. I mean, that flop was just appalling. But as I say, the best hand got through in the end, and no disrespect to Rakesh, you played very well, sir. You pulled a move and it didn't come off for you, so unlucky. You finished in 9th place, and amongst this field, that's a pretty high honour, so well played indeed. Look forward to seeing you around again in the next town. Okay, Kenny's got pocket 5s here, undergun +1, and he has to 40,000 to call. He might find a call here on the button. Okay, Queen 10-6. No hope for either player. Pocket 5's ahead. Another 6, 2 pair for Kenny, nothing for Greg, and this is going to be a split pot. Look, Kenny's looking across at him. Oh dear, I hate those split pots when it runs out like that. 6s and queens with a 10 kicker. And Kenny has 5 high with his pair of 5s, and Greg has 5 high. Nice shot of our feature table from one of our outside cameras there. That we're going to be building on a great event from last year, and we'll be there from the 21st of October to the 3rd of November, and we'll be happy to welcome you all there at Times Square. So Abdul with the 7-4, 2.3 million behind, under the gun +3. He doesn't like to get involved there. Mr. Sun with King 10, he'll like these guards for sure in the hijack. Tightened up for sure. 10-8 suited. Jack 2 from Greg in the small blind. I like to see him complete here, but I think he's just going to give Solly a walk. Next hand. Blinds at 40 and 20,000 on the small. Aston under the gun, 8-4 offsuit into the muck. Waz still looking for a spot here, ace-5 suited. All in from Waz, I'm sure. Mr. Sun's probably going to look him up with the ace-queen here. Mr. Sun's called. I suspect unless they've got monsters, everybody else will be getting out the way. Ace-5 suited is shown, and Mr. Sun will show the ace-queen. And Waz is behind. And let's go to the flop. And Waz is the player at risk. So the only hope he gets is a 1 spade. That's the sweat. A spade on the river would help him. Nope, and we lose Waz from the table. Well played, Waz. Always a pleasure, and as he is a gentleman, he moves his chips across the table so the other player doesn't have to stretch. And that's good etiquette. You can learn from that out there, young poker players. Don't just walk away, push your chips across so he doesn't have to stretch, and it's just your, it's not a submission, it's just your way of saying well played, and then you can walk away. So we lose Waz from the team, and a shame because top man, a lot of time from Waz, but that's how life is, that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's us down to 8 players. Okay, we'll take it back to the table shot. In fact, 7 players. 8. There is 8. Yeah, my tech team are telling me there's 8. I think they're fooling with my old man's brain. There are 7. Abdul under the gun, pocket 9, so we're putting the bet out here. Pot's at 100. He's going to bet somewhere around half to 2/3, I suppose. He raised to 102, so pot size bet. Mr. Sun gets out of the way. Greg Ronson gets out of the way. Jared's got 7s. He might fancy looking him up here.
Player 5, 260.
So 3 bet from Solly to 260. Abdul has to respond here. Abdul's thinking very, very carefully about this. Whether or not he's just going to call, or whether or not he's going to raise. Flop comes down. 6 ace 3. If Abdul checks here, I expect a big continuation bet from Solly. Let's check. So 2. Solly's going to fire here. 620 in the pot.
Player 570.
170,000. Size down a bit. Abdul calls. The card picks a king. I think if Abdul bets here, Solly can fold and vice versa. Goes check. And Abdul picks up the pot.
42 play.
Mr. Sun under the gun with Queen 3. Greg folds. Joe wakes up with another pocket pair. So all those people who sent me friend requests on Facebook, we're now friends.
80.
So I'll see you come up on the stream. I'm curious to what Abdul's up to here in the big blind. He's just took a big pot off Solly. Okay, he's just calling here. So we've got a board here of Jack King 8. Gerald's ahead with his pocket fours. Looks like Abdul checked. Gerald bet. And I don't know what Abdul can call with here. Re-raises to 220. With 6-4. He's miles behind. Abdul applying maximum pressure here with absolute air. He's going to force Solly to lay it down. Nice play, Abdul. Good discipline by Jared.
Did somebody send the echo out?
So the stream has just gone on the break. So you won't be long and you'll be back. And when you come back, you'll be listening to this. So just to let you know, at the end of this level, I believe we're going for a 45-minute or 1 hour dinner break. I will confirm the actual times. And then we're going to come back and we're going to watch this to a conclusion. And I think it could be a late one.
40,000 play.
Playing for a lot of money here. So there's going to be no quarter given. Our live camera, our mobile camera should I say, is out there with Maki and Bongani. The mobile camera geniuses. They actually do well to keep out of most of our shots, but occasionally we see them. The Ninja Turtles, or Bungle and Zippy as I call them. All in good fun though. Very, very talented young men. Make all the adverts you see and all the video recordings of Caitlin and Mark and stuff like that. And we're blessed to have them. Okay, Huawei-san has got 10s here. 65,000 a call. I don't think he's folding, put it that way. Might even raise here. So these two guys are sat opposite each other, Kenny and Son, so there'll be eye-to-eye contact here. Let's see how we go. I think it's a raise to 310. And Kenny's he's picking up chips. I'm surprised. Maybe Kenny's got a read on him. He's definitely got 2 overcards. Oh, Kenny's talking to him about his hand, so they're going in the muck.
So I can't call you.
I've already got it. Half an hour delay. I got it from my friend.
Okay, Abdalessa with 2.9 million, nearly into 3 million. Kenny with 1.9, Huawei Sun 1.6, Glenn 1.6. And I actually, the average stack count is now over 1 million, so well over 1 million. Okay, Greg's woke up with 2 of the 3 ducks, Huey and Louie. He's not going to go hunting for Dewey, that's for sure. 10-7 in the muck from Jared Sullivan. Kenny will like his suited ace here, and looks like he's made a raise up to 105,000. Aston will get rid of his 8-4, as will Abdul's 10-5. Mind you, he managed to bully Jared with 6-4 earlier, so we'll see. Mr. Sun has 6-3, talking to 6-4. And what has Lenny got? Any competition? He'll think about this. He's in the big blind. That's 65,000 a call. He's already put 40 into the big blind ante as well. And he's sitting there with 1.6 million, so he can afford the chips. And personally, I like this suited king. I think I would like to see a call there, but Kenny puts the pressure on as usual, and Len gets away from it. Okay, on to the next hand. This is hand 102 of the day on the feature table. 40k in the big blind, 40k in the big blind ante, and 20k on the small blind. We're down to 7 players in your 60k Superslam event number 2, day 3 on the Monsterjam Poker Tour. So all the bottles of water you see around the table there, they're all sponsored by one of our sponsors, Aquavita Water. Actually tastes really nice. Some of those bottled waters are like chlorine, like they've been made in someone's back garden. But the Aquavita water is very, very nice. Our other sponsor, Regal Hospitality and Events. Greg's got ace queen here. He's got 410 behind, which is 10 bigs, of course. Abdul's raised it up to 100. I think the money goes in. So this is a big moment. Greg Ronaldson is all in for his 10 big blinds. And Abdul immediately folds. And we're not going to get to see a showdown or any excitement. Okay, Kenny under the gun, 6-3 off, sorry, 6-3 suited. I don't think we're going anywhere with that. Aston next to act, under the gun +1 with his 8-7 offsuit. They're destined for the muck. Abdullah ace-3. Not going to be bossing anybody with those. 7-2 for Mr. Sun. There's very few people who play those. Dobbsy, George Levine, Colm, Myberg, that's about it. They're the 7-2 brigade. Greg Ronson with 590,000, picked up all the dead money in the last hand, so he knows how to play the short stack. Gerald with the King 4 gets the walk. That's the second time you've given him a walk, Greg. You must plus pay in your commission. 17 minutes to go on the level. Originally 35 entries, 7 people left, and the average stack now is 1.5 million. So if you haven't got 1.5 million, you're a below average. So that's a D or a C minus in my book. So a shout out to Andrew Anthony, who's watching on the stream. Andrew, a good buddy of mine, and nice to see you on the stream. Some of the family are down here, as you all know, and I've bumped into most of them, and I hear some of the remainder of the family are coming soon. So hopefully you're amongst that number, and we'll get to meet up and have a chat. Nice to see you on the stream. That's Andrew Anthony. Johan de Graaf is back on as well. Johan, a great supporter of the tour. Hopefully we get to see him at some stage during the weekend coming. So Abdul folds. Hawaii Sun, he folds. Lenny Freeman with the ace-6 in the cutoff is not interested. Button is Greg Ronaldson. We'll definitely see a bet from Greg here. Might even shove. Yeah, I want to get his in. Take down the free money. Gerald will fold his 10-2. And the King 9 from Kenny goes in the muck also. Greg picks up another 100,000. Quietly.
I bought it for the sheepskin.
Came all the way down there. He goes like it. He smells the sheep. He goes like it. Watch him. Nice. Smell.
Okay, this is hand 105. Quickly approaching the break, for these guys are going to go and get some food, maybe a shower, change of clothes or whatever. I've been playing since 1 o'clock this afternoon. Liam Draycott joins the stream. Nice to see you, Liam. Gerald wakes up with pocket jacks here, 890,000. It'd be interesting to see how he plays these from the button, whether or not he wants a customer or whatever. I fancy a raise here around about 85 to 100. Looks like Greg is starting to feel the circulation cold leg issue. It can get a bit cold up on that stage, especially when the AC is running. Well, Lenny's been pretty quiet, so I expect him to raise here. What is he doing there, folding?
40 to play.
I don't understand why he folded there. There was no bet.
20 more.
Looks like Abdul fancies a piece of this. I still don't understand why Lenny folded his jack here, but I'll catch up with him later and find out, I'm sure. Abdul's ace is good. And Abdul gets a 105 profit. And Aston is now the short stack, interestingly. It's our timing screen. So when we come back after the break, well, the break will be in 10 minutes, but when we come after the break, it'll be 25, 50,000 with 50,000 on the big blind ante. So every time you're on the big blind, it's going to cost you 100,000. There'll be 150,000 of dead money, every hand stuck there in the middle. So raised by Aston, 110 on the button to quit with Queen 6. Abdul now to act, 90 to call. I think Abdul was going to raise here with his Ace King. Brian Diab, said it right, Ryan, on the stream. So it is a re-race to 150. No, 460, sorry. My apologies. And then it gets folded.